basically what you're asking me is, how can you find your soul?
Yes. How do you find your soul? Everybody wants to know. I know I'm not the only person.
That's a great question.
Welcome to the Focal Flip Podcast. Every week we take a deep dive into the mystery and stigma behind mental health and explore real-life stories of struggle and triumph. We aim to educate and encourage others as we bring together a diverse group of guests. From the streets to sanctuaries, classrooms to boardrooms, mental health does not discriminate, neither do we. Prepare to laugh, prepare to cry, prepare to be changed. Let's get into it. Here we are, my friend. I'm so excited that you're back. Everybody, welcome John McNeely back. Thank you, sir, for coming back.
My pleasure.
Today is one we've been really talking about for a minute. We've clearly been going through some life stuff for the last few years, and we've had a venture and a journey into psychology. We've had a really big venture and journey into spirituality, all sorts of different things. One of the things that come up in a lot of conversations within recovery, outside of recovery, within business, outside of business, just in life in general, is just kind of the aspect of soul. And so we've had conversations specifically from the rooms of recovery, because it's something that folks are trying to find, right? And it's a very, very difficult concept to understand, and most folks do not understand it. It's a very difficult one for me, one that we talk about every day.
A lot.
It's pretty much every day.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just kind of going back and forth with knowing that this is a necessary episode that we needed to run. Mm-hmm. And today's title of the episode is called The Psychology of the Soul. This is John's baby. I'm just going to be honest with you. He's so in tune with this. The Facebook groups, all these different things. He's administrator, moderator, and a lot of these things through a significant amount of inner work, if you guys have figured out from the previous episodes as we've had over addiction, alcoholism, withdrawal, stuff like that. So the origin of thought. So John, let's get right at it.
All right.
Okay, so my first question on the psychology of the soul is, what is the concept of the soul from a psychological perspective?
Well, first you have to understand the unconscious mind, and the unconscious mind is broken into two categories.
Okay.
The first is the personal unconscious, and that is everything that you've experienced in life, all of your experiences, both good and bad, your traumas, your suppressed traumas, your fears, your delusional beliefs, your ego defense mechanisms, your core beliefs that are then supported by your attitudes, outlooks, and perspectives, which always support the ingrained core belief. That's the personal unconscious. Okay. Now, you also have the collective unconscious, and what the collective unconscious is the deep inner essence of all mankind, inherited. You could look at it like the hardware compared to the software. So it contains all of our natural instincts. You see commonalities in all world religions. You see commonalities in all mythologies throughout time. These are the core essence of our symbolic imagery.
Ooh.
That is consistent within all mankind. And by that definition, that is the deep inner essence of what and who humanity is.
Okay.
That is the soul.
Wow, the collective unconscious. Yeah. That's something that through my walk I started to learn through. That's a Jungian.
Yes, definitely.
Right?
Everything I'm going to be talking about today is based on Carl Jung theory.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you guys a brief little introduction because John knows it well. There's a lot of folks who are Carl Jung, Jungian psychoanalysts, and it was brand new to me. And then once I had some mental clarity and I started reading into it, I've learned that. I'm starting to understand a little
Right.
bit that collective unconscious.
Yep.
That collective unconscious piece is really overwhelming for me.
Yeah,
When you look at it from that kind of perspective.
absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you saying that. Now, the second part of that question, can psychological theories and behavioral research shed light on the existence of the soul?
Well, that's a really good question, because right now we're just talking about psychological theory. But can the behavior demonstrate that? And the answer is unequivocally yes. So if we look at mankind in total, our species, he's been expressing himself spiritually and religiously consistently back
Okay.
to the clans of the cave bear.
Okay.
Our expressing ourselves spiritually and religiously is as instinctively driven in mankind as is a child's instinctive fear of the dark. It is one of the most consistent of all man's affirmations. And as such, anytime there's a consistent behavior, it always is driven by psychological need. Man just simply would not have this consistent behavior if it didn't fulfill his inner essence. Now think about this. When we look at mankind, it wasn't all that long ago when thunder was the voice of an angry god.
Okay.
Every stream had a spirit. Every cave held a demon. The snake was the embodiment of wisdom and evil. All of this rich symbolism, man had a deep spiritual connection with the natural world around him. Modern man has lost that deep spiritual connection that is provided, so he tries to fulfill it in other ways.
Okay.
And that's where we get the addictions of alcohol,
Yeah, I see.
drugs, gambling, money, fame. He's trying to fill this ancient aspect of his psychology with things that cannot fill it.
Ooh.
So he's always unfulfilled, restless, irritable, and discontent because he's lost contact with the most ancient aspect of his psychology, his soul.
Wow. So that's so fascinating. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And then I'm actually, I put pictures together, and I'm looking at that from that contact is when this piece is exposed, huh?
Right.
And it's like, so all those things that wow.
Another quote by Carl Jung is, addiction is our spiritual essence seeking wholeness.
Yeah, okay.
Because that part of our psychology, in my opinion, the most important, deepest aspect of our psychology is lost.
Yeah.
So we're not whole. We're fragmented, we're broken, we're unfulfilled.
When do you see that most often change in folks?
Do I?
When do you see that most often change in folks? Like, just your opinion, perspective. It's like when they lose their conscious contact. Because as a child, you got a conscious contact, right? It's something there.
Well, yes, because when you think of childhood is magical.
Yeah.
It's magic. We have a connection with our soul. Think about Christmas morning. You run downstairs,
Yeah.
The lights, the presents. It's just you can feel the magic in the air. That is you experiencing the world from your soul.
Yeah.
But then it gets clouded with the ego, with thinking, with fears, with all these different things. We start worrying more about ourselves and experiencing life through the biases, fears, and delusions of the mind instead of the soul. That's where the magic of life dissipates. And then we begin trudging through life.
Fascinating.
It is.
It's sitting right there, simplified for us right from the beginning, right
Yeah.
from the rip.
Modern man has lost the contact with his soul.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can say that because I did.
Yeah, absolutely. I learned that the hard way myself.
A lot of times in our episodes, it's not that I'm playing dumb. It's just that, golly, I experienced it.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I mean, that's
It's
why
hard to argue.
Yeah, we linked it. I can't argue it.
No, you
I
can't.
And a lot of it I can't explain.
Correct.
I've lined up with you because I feel like for two of us together, some of the better ones to try and explain it, because it is very difficult.
Well, the deeper
Like, it's
you...
so messy, man. If you get into stuff and you start dissecting thoughts and perspectives, and
The problem with explaining it is the deeper you go, it goes beyond the mind.
it's beyond concept.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. I had to dive in there a little more. Let's go into our
Absolutely.
next question, man.
All right.
You good with that?
Sure.
All right. Next one we got here. Can psychological practices such as mindfulness, meditation, or therapy help individuals connect with their souls?
Basically, what you're asking me is, how can you find your soul?
Yes. How do you find your soul? Everybody wants to know.
You know,
I
and
know I'm not the only person.
that's a great question.
It's like when you hear people say, all right, man, it depends on how what your soul says. Depends on what the Lord says. Depends on what this says.
Right.
I found mine,
Yeah,
but I wish I would have found it earlier, kind of thing.
yeah.
Because
You're lucky you found it at all.
Ooh, go. Proceed.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's a great quote by Marcus Aurelius, and he says, "The soul becomes dyed by the color of its thoughts." Mm-hmm. And that really is the answer to your question. The mind begins to dominate the soul. All of the mind's fears, all of the mind's delusions, all of the mind's traumas, unexpressed emotions. This is where you start to see the change from the magic of childhood into the self-manufactured misery of adulthood. We have no spiritual connection with anything around us. Now we're just thinking about our own expectations, our own desires, our own fears, our likes, our dislikes. It becomes me, 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 and the ego starts dominating the thinking and covers the soul. So what has to happen, and I'm going to go so far as say has to happen, is you need to start diving into all of the disturbances of the mind, your anger, your fear, your sadness, your self-pity. Dive deep into the causes and conditions. Drag it into the light of consciousness where it no longer controls you. And one by one, you strip away all the fears and delusions and biases of the mind and uncover your soul.
That's the experience that I had.
That is the way.
That's the experience that I had.
Yeah.
In multiple different ways. But I did not understand that that's what I was actually doing.
Neither did I.
I swear, man, everybody tricks us into all this stuff. And now,
But that's what that's what makes it more authentic.
Oh God, it's always
Because I didn't expect it. I didn't realize it was even possible to find something. I didn't know it existed.
Yeah. I've seen it exist through good of others. I didn't know that it felt or like that it was a connection.
I mean, I remember.
You know what it was a connection of like my soul right now is in harmony with the universe.
Right.
Right. Without us, getting into putting labels and names on stuff. There's a connection there. Something changed for me. There was something that had changed for you.
Right.
You can call it spirituality, whatever you want to call it. You can call it psychic change, spiritual experience, spiritual awakening. It's this change.
Touched by the Holy Spirit. You can call it whatever you
want
want.
to call it. You can call it whatever you want, but
Yeah.
something is completely different.
Right.
And it was alarming for me because I know very, very well what happens up here. But then when it connects with what's in here,
That's a whole different animal.
if you can't explain it. So
You can, but it's insufficient.
And the people that do get it are the ones that have felt it.
Right. You can't explain an experience to someone who hasn't experienced it. It's like trying to explain love to someone who's never experienced it.
All right, our goal is to do it
It's
then.
beyond the mind.
Our goal is to do it.
I can get close.
Good. That's why you're here
Yeah.
at this table.
Yeah.
Okay. So clearly, those practices, mindfulness, meditation, therapy can help individuals connect with their soul, for sure. For me, I'm going to give you my example of that. For an entire year after I got sober, at my parents' property, okay, after going to 2-3 meetings a day, not forced, but going to that, I spent almost every single evening in the back of the front barn by myself, completely quiet, and then I would turn music on. And that time, the sun would set over the back, okay? And during that time, I would have my a journal, and I'd be doing gratitudes. I'd listen to music, be hanging out just by myself. Sometimes a friend would come over. The different type of connection that I was able to have with life through reflection, call it meditation,
Prayer,
call it mindfulness, call it prayer.
Yeah.
Something was changing.
Yes.
And it just did.
Right.
And so then now I've gone into these concepts of the soul and all this stuff, and it's like, it shakes me up. I'm 39 years old, and it shakes me up a little bit, and I feel like I'm a fairly intelligent guy, but I think that the feeling and the actual experience of it is what has shaken me to my core.
I remember clearly the magic of childhood, but I just thought that was childhood.
Yeah, me too.
But when you experience
I had some traumas in there.
Well, sure, we all do. But when we experience that essence again as an adult, it's magical. It's beyond understanding. It's beyond conception. It's beyond belief. It's beyond all of the mind. When you experience the magic of life from the soul, as we did as a child.
Yeah.
People know the experience. They've experienced it as children.
Yeah, all the good parts of your childhood.
Yeah, the good parts, yeah. But, my biggest word in childhood was, wow. Everything was just magical and wondrous and surreal.
That's true.
I've experienced it before. It's there.
Yeah.
It's just buried by the distortions of the mind.
Clearly. And that's why program work is designed to help strip that down, and why folks like, for example, Alcoholics Anonymous, why Dr. Bill and Dr. Bob decided to line up with as many folks as that they could to do that.
Right.
That piece of it, that multifaceted thing. And my personal experience through that was that step work stripped me down of all the delusional BS that I had going on and all of my fears. And when it stripped me down through 12 steps, it exposed my soul.
It exposed the inner essence of what and who we are, which is shared across all mankind. It's our inner essence. It's the taproot of our being. It's our soul.
The authentic self.
Yeah.
We'll hear that a lot today in social media and in society.
Yep.
The authentic self starting to pop its head back in there a little bit.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing is I'm not opposed to any of those theories. Carl Jung's stuff has really changed the game a lot up for me, especially with some of the more modern type stuff.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But it's not just Jung. I actually look into all of them.
Yeah.
And I know you do too.
Yeah,
that's why
do.
we kind of, not that we obsess over it, it's just something that we just seek to understand and seek to learn.
Absolutely.
And that's what we found. And it's been shocking how I've been able to cross that. Like your first question, you're talking about how, ancient Greek mythology and all these different things, how you can find similarities in that. And so if you dial it back with the time frame and stuff, it's like, whew. So now as an adult, like you just said, when you start to experience that as an adult, it's like, whew.
Here's the thing. This mystery has been known since the dawn of time. It's in all of the ancient spiritual wisdoms and philosophies. In ancient Greek, above the temple of Apollo, there are 2 words inscribed above the entrance: know thyself. Why would the Greeks put know thyself in the temple of the god they worshipped? Yeah. One of the maxims of the Oracle of Delphi at the Temple of Apollo says, in you is hidden the treasure of treasures. Know thyself, and you will know the universe and the gods. And that is basically just what we've been talking about. Know yourself is to strip away all your delusions and fears and biases, and you will find the treasure of treasures within you.
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius, you must realize that you have something far more wondrous inside of you than simply the things you react to that makes you dance like a puppet.
Ooh, yes.
And that's what we're talking
Aurelius
about.
is tough. He's
The reactive
Moody
mind.
too.
Yeah, there's something more wondrous, deeper than the biases of the conditioned reactive mind.
Wow. Yeah. And now you say conditioned reactive mind. I look at life as everything being so reactive right now.
It is.
Just in general.
And conditioned.
Even if you take it and you add 20 years, you just see it.
Yeah.
Plain as day.
Well, look at humanity and how they're conditioned. We're conditioned to be consumers. I mean, it's, chase your dreams, chase, the career, chase, and you're not fulfilling your soul. Even modern religions, and it doesn't matter which one you pick, focus more on the belief in God. But belief is empty unless you experience it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you believe if you don't experience it. One of Carl Jung's quotes is, if religion is only belief and faith in outward form, and the religion's function is not experienced in your soul, nothing of any importance has happened.
Right. Yes. Correct.
Yeah.
I look at that as the check in the box type thing.
Yeah.
Nothing of any importance should truly happen. I experienced that in some of my journey where I was checking boxing just like my faith and stuff.
Right.
But like still learning that, but still covering me.
Yep.
I learned that. It's just like, man, why you do that? Yeah. Let's move on now. This is good stuff. Knew this was going to be a banger, man, but this is really, really good. So let's get into this next piece. Can the soul be understood as a source of creativity, intuition, or wisdom in psychological terms?
It is the source. It is the source. Now,
proceed.
I mean, to explain this, I almost have to, talk about.
Because you're saying it is the source, but it comes from here. So
I need to talk about the
creativity. A lot comes from here.
The experience. Well, yes and no.
Here we go.
The soul, which again is our deep inner essence, our ancient, archaic, deep inner essence of man. That is what compels you, what drives you, which is the essence of your creative force. It is everything that compels you towards heaven and hell. Because it can drive you in each direction depending on how much you blacken it with the conditioning of the mind. It can compel you towards life just as easily as it compel you towards death, which kind of supports Marcus Aurelius' quote, the soul becomes dyed by the color of its thoughts. So again, stripping all of that away, to try to explain it is difficult. It is an inner essence like the calm after the storm. It's complete clarity and discernment with chaos all around you.
Yeah.
It is a psychic reality. Once you connect with it, it is a psychic reality greater than your ego and your thoughts. Instead of a thought popping in your mind and you running after it like a dog chasing a stick, you can see the thought and determine from your soul whether it's reasonable, rational, or true.
Discernment?
And again, I'm trying to describe something that is beyond understanding of the mind.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was really good.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate more?
Can I elaborate more? Well, I mean...
That was pretty good, man. Wow. Yeah.
Can you? I mean, it's tough. It's
I can.
It's the essence. Yeah, you have a different understanding, different perspective, but it's the
You just do it so well.
it's the essence which creates the unification of all that is. You have an inner peace and tranquility and acceptance of life as life unfolds. It strips away the barriers between good and evil, right or wrong. It supersedes the judgments and biases of the mind, and you start seeing things as two sides of the same coin. Yin and yang. You're no longer disturbed.
Yeah.
You know, it's again, it's what is your perspective on it? Because it's or your experience with it.
It in that is it while being moral, moving towards like the greater good. Does the soul tell us that what's good and bad?
Oh, that's a good question.
You know what I mean? Like, I can go very hard off the inner essence piece because I know you explained that really well from that inner essence. But that goes with
morality. Morality is socially conditioned. Morality, in a general sense, is not imprinted on the soul because when you look at humanity, it's just as dark as it is light. Man has the capacity for extreme good and extreme evil.
Yes, he does.
And that's both within the soul. It's both within our essence. We can't just imagine everything as light and love in the soul, because if we do, we're hiding from our own sight what we're trying to understand.
Yeah.
Man is just as much dark as he is light. But with clarity and discernment, you know.
Yeah, sure.
That's why I say it starts to strip the difference between good and bad.
Yeah.
So we have our social morality. You know, we know what's right and wrong, but that's something that is taught.
Yes.
Socially and societally.
Correct.
That is not the inner essence of archaic man.
Right. No, I get it. I'm just
That's a good question, though.
Thank you. Yeah. Dude, I just sit here and think, listen, put things together. That's what I do.
Yeah.
You know, I think of it as a child. You know, everybody's childhood's different, but they all have a soul.
Yeah.
Right?
They all experience magic.
Correct. But they do it in their own way, in their own unique individual way, and they do it in all these kind of different environments.
Yeah.
You've got inner city, farm, different cultures.
Sure.
Poor.
Sure.
Rich.
And between all of those, you'll always see this, a child laughing.
Yeah.
Regardless of his circumstances.
Yeah, that's true. Even in the midst of after having traumas.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. It just starts to cover it up, man. It starts to cover it up at an early age. That's why it's amazing what a lot of these people are trying to do and get ahead of it.
Yeah.
Wow. Incredible. Let's go to our last question, okay, before we wrap this up. Final one. How can the integration of psychology and spirituality offer a more holistic approach to understanding human nature and the mysteries of life?
That is a good question.
Thank you. Like in the rooms of AA, you want me to read it again?
Sure.
All right, final one, then we're going to get out of here. How can the integration of psychology and spirituality offer a more holistic approach to understanding human nature and the mysteries of life?
I'm going to have to answer this on a personal note.
That's fine.
What it helps you do is understand the nature of yourself. Not only your light, but your dark, especially your dark, if you want to find your soul. So the greater you understand your own darkness leads you to a greater understanding of the darkness in others. So you no longer react to people lashing out at you. You no longer react negatively for you having the thought that you're being treated unfairly. You no longer, are burdened by the minor inconveniences of life, all the petty, selfish things that torment the vast majority of humanity.
Yeah.
And you start to see the beauty, wonder, and joy of life from the soul instead of from the biases, fears, and delusions of the mind. And how that unravels the mystery of life as you begin to realize that how you experience the outer world is a mirror reflection of your inner world. If you have all this chaos and fear in your inside of you, then you experience a chaotic, fearful, miserable world.
Yeah.
When you find your inner essence beyond the mind and find this essence of peace and happiness within yourself, the world becomes a much more peaceful, happier place. It's then that you realize that there are no mysteries of life. Life is just life. The mystery is what is driving our attitudes, outlooks, and perspectives towards life and creating our heavens and our hells.
Amazing, man.
Yeah, there it is.
Awesome.
It's good stuff.
Awesome, man. Psychology of the Soul. Everybody hit like, comment, subscribe. If you all can, please go to my Facebook page. Go to my Instagram page too. And if you all can, like, invite people to it, and just, if you can, share it. The way that some of these things work is just the members and, hey, can you follow this and whatnot, in order just for me to be able to reach other people. So if you all can do that, hitting like, hit comment, subscribe, help John, follow John as well, and just hop on the social media handles. You see the website on the back right there. Psychology of the Soul, we're going to drop it quick. I've put this off long enough, but we're going to go ahead and run it. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. Thanks, brother.
Okay, you ready to wrap this thing up?
If you like Focal Flips videos, my dad's videos, go to YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, and like and subscribe to be updated.
I love it.